live somewhere right now and I'm testing things out. So if you can see me, um, shout me on the comments. Trying to check to see if my LinkedIn connection to Zoom is still good, and it looks like it is. Hi. We made it. So listen, it's good to see you all. I know this was not planned, but every once in a while, I need to get online and check out my multi-streaming capabilities to make sure everything's cool. And it looks like it is. You know, the podcast is in full swing. We got it off the ground after it imploded before the premiere this year. Shout out to Abby West over at Audible for being very patient. But we got that episode off the ground. I had to get brand new equipment all in my studio because my Mac was old. You want to know something embarrassing? For somebody who's always at the epicenter in the intersection of tech, culture, and business, my tech was old. In fact, it was my AV engineer who looked at my crappy files that my iMac rendered and said to me, "How old is your Mac?" And you know what, guys? I realized the Mac is older than Joni. So, yeah, had to eat a little crow, go to the Mac store and get a brand new Mac. So this is what I'm on right now. I'm not even using my nice HD camera right now. I'm using the FaceTime camera on my new Mac, and it's pretty good. Brand new setup here. But anyway, it's great to see you. Culture Soup Podcast is rolling again. We're going to do another live edition in the March timeframe of the Coaching Corner. And you know, that's where I go all in on leadership development and a topic where we can go deep as an executive coach. So that'll be coming in March. We'll have part 2 of my wonderful conversation with John Graham Jr., who is the author of Plantation Theory, which got a lot, some of y'all a little hot under the collar. I understand. It's all good. We have to go through this in order to learn and know better. So part 2 is coming next Thursday. So look for that. Some of you are excited because you have joined my new online private network. It's called SlayNet. Some of you haven't joined yet, but you need to, because right now it's still free. And you can go to bit.ly, and that's bit.ly/SlayNet. And that's where like-minded leaders who are aiming for senior executive leadership in the C-suite, some of them are already there, gather in a very safe environment to network and share great content around leadership. I go live there every once in a while too. In fact, today marks the 3rd Friday of the month, which means, and you probably don't know this, this is some inside information, I go live on Zoom with all of my coaching clients and graduates for free, for a free group coaching every month. And it's kind of a come as you are, come and go type of thing. Most people don't come every month. Some do, some don't, some drop in, but we cover a life topic that is impacting their leadership aspirations. And let me tell you, it ministers to me too. It's pretty cool. So I also go live on SlayNet when that happens. So those people who are part of SlayNet, my coaching community, who may not be a graduate or a current client, can get an idea of how it goes. They can't see the Zoom, but they can see me talking and they can hear some of the conversations that are happening. Still looking at the confidentiality of my clients. So they can hear voices, but they don't know names until they become a part and opt in to that group coaching. So that's exciting. SlayNet, bit.ly/SlayNet if you'd like to join. What else? Oh, this is exciting. Some of you just picked this book up. It launched the beer. This is book number 3 for me. Can you believe this? I literally published a book a year since 2020. You had the original No Thanks, 7 Ways to Say, I'll just include myself, Guide to Rockstar Leadership for Women of Color in the Workplace. That launched in 2020 in August. Come 2021 in May 10th, the remix was launched, which is what you see behind me now. And that is 2/3 more content, a whole new book. You had accolades from different notables inside the book, but we covered two more bonus affirmations, two more chapters, and it won an award from the NABJ, which is exciting. It was one of the books of the year for 2021. Outstanding books of the year. So that was great. And then before this came out, 2022, my daughter took over, which is part of the reason why Yes Please has been delayed, because our imprint had to go into overdrive. And if you haven't seen Joni's book, let's see here. It's No Thanks for Girls. And of course, it was inspired by my book and the story. I love to tell this story. People like to hear it. It's No Thanks for Girls, 7 Ways to Say I'm Beautiful, Strong, and Enough. And Joni wrote these stories, which is amazing to me. She was in the 3rd grade at the time. She was 8 years old, and she was just learning composition. And mommy was down here slaving away, trying to get the first edition out. She's supposed to be in math class in homeschool. Okay, we were in lockdown. And she comes down here and she says, Mommy, I want to write a book. And I'm like, yes, honey, that's nice. Just typing away, go back to online school. And she said, well, I think it should be something like Little No Thanks or No Thanks for Girls. And I stopped in my tracks. And parents, again, I'm going to say, when your kids say something like that, if they show a passion and they really want to do it, catch that energy right where it is and be the wind beneath their wings to make it happen. As you can see, she wrote the stories. I got a professional children's writer to write the stories in a way that, would sell books. And before that happened, Joni sat with her grandmother, my mother, Gabby, a retired English teacher, to make sure her sentence syntax was right, her grammar was right. And then that children's writer did what they did. And then I edited, and then I handed it over to an illustrator who does children's book. Khadijah is amazing. She did this work behind me. And lo and behold, here we have a book that's worldwide by my daughter, who was 8 at the time. And we're voicing that audiobook right now. And you know what? I skipped something. No Thanks. My No Thanks is actually available on Audible too. And I voiced that at the end of 2020. And then it was available in 2021. But the 3rd book, of course, is this journal, which is a companion to the No Thanks books, Slay Every Day. It's big, y'all. Can you tell it's much bigger? Let me hold up the other book and you can get an idea of how big it is. Okay. And now look at that, 272 pages of journaling space and insights and good advice to take you through 52 weeks, a whole year, to get you to rockstar leadership. And look, it's based in positive psychology. It's based in neuroscience too. So the affirmations that you have, of course, we talked about this before. Your brain needs the proof. So when you write your affirmation, I encourage you to say, I am a wonderful writer because, and this is where the proof comes in, and you point to something you've done in the past that was extraordinary. And that's where your mind syncs up with your heart and makes that affirmation a reality for you and more believable. So that's the book front. Yes, Please has been delayed. You probably picked up on that. That is Yes, Please. 7 Ways to Say I'm entitled to the C-suite. Now, y'all, you probably need to understand a bit about me. And that is, my goal is not to be famous. My goal is not even to be on the New York Times bestseller. If any of that happens, God bless. Okay. My goal is to get more women and women of color into that C-suite. Let me give you some stats. Okay. There are only 2 Black female CEOs of all the CEOs in the Fortune 500. Now, it's amazing because it's the first time we've ever had 2. The Sunda Brown Duckett, she's over at TIAA, AA, Rosalind Brewer, who's over at Walgreen Boots. Okay, some dynamic sisters, but we only have two. And when I wrote the first no thanks, we were still waiting on the next one because Ursula Burns had retired from Xerox in 2016. The numbers are dismal. So, in the book, I take a look at why so many overqualified, ready leaders are gushing out of the leadership pipeline. And I'm talking about women, especially women of color, but leading the way, Black women spewing out of the leadership pipeline. We get into some of the reasons why. And we also talk about strategies to try and overcome these barriers. But my coaching practice is all about making sure that these women are prepared and they understand how to get to the C-suite. Now, Yes Please is going to explore the secrets to getting to your happy, which is so important. You have to be happy first to be successful. That's science. That's not me. That's science. Okay. We got to get to your happy, but we also have to reveal some of these secrets of this very exclusive corporate culture. Okay. Because access is the number one reason why so many of us don't make it. There's so many things that we don't understand and have not been told. We're going to break some of those things down in the next book. So hopefully by the end of 2022, we'll have a date for that launch and release of that book. What else is going on in my world? Coaching. Okay. So, I have 3 different campaigns that run on social media every week. Shout out to my team that makes this happen, because y'all, somebody texted me not long ago and they caught a little typo or something like that. Hey, you need to fix blah, blah, blah. I was with a client. I don't know. I approve the content, but I have a social media manager that posts the campaigns. I do engage. And there's some things that I will post on my own. But in general, do you really believe that I could run a whole company, a media company, and a growing international clientele of executive coaching clients and do all this social media too? Come on now, y'all, come on. It takes a team, right? So shout out to Carmen Gamble. I also want to shout out Nneka Magbo, who brought us this far. And I'm so glad that she has launched her own business. And that's been my philosophy since I ran my agency back in 2003 to about 2019. I was not investing in giving venture capital funds, but my theory was, and there were a few different companies that launched because of my business, I would feed them business as a client in order for them to build their business and launch their own. So I was very happy when I heard that Nneka was launching her own business, and she's got a brand agency and she's also doing social media and she's got a slew of VAs. Go, Nneka, do what you got to do. Carmen, thanks for coming on to take her place and keeping me in line and getting all this content out. So three different campaigns that you see every week. And you know what? They're connected. You may have figured this out, but for those of you that don't know, on Monday and Tuesday, more now Monday on LinkedIn and also on IG, you see the Rockstar Leadership Tip. Of course, that's how we curated this book from the many videos that I've done before. This is all fresh new content that you're seeing now. But the Rockstar Leadership Tip is connected to the Boss Moves tip. You'll see the big yellow and black tile that shows up with one statement, and that's what we're talking about. It's linked to, and it furthers the conversation from the Rockstar Leadership Tip. So I typically will give some thoughts, some tidbits that you should know, and then link it to an article to give you further information. And then by Thursday, you'll get the Design Your Life series, and that's the NSC journal prompt. This is where you get to put the concept in action, okay? So this week alone, we were talking about inattentive blindness and how you can wrangle in a toxic boss, because it's one of the things that they leverage, whether they know it or not. is to ping you with all sorts of stuff and get you off your focus so that you're reacting to that person and not doing the business at hand that will get you to moving forward. And then suddenly they have, oh, gee whiz, we wonder about her work. Well, if you would leave her alone, maybe she could get some things done. You feel me? Yeah. Okay. Inattentive blindness. We talk about the 500,000-pound gorilla pacing your floor. Sometimes that's around office politics. But listen, if you aren't aware of this, you need to be, because it's a concept that has downed planes. It has caused car accidents. So no doubt it could tank your career and your leadership goals. So every week we're going to do something different. Next week is all going to be about memory and how you can remember things and get your team to remember what they need to remember to stay on course. So pay attention to the 3 campaigns. That's the content generation, and that literally feeds my business. And I'm happy to see that my communities are along for the ride. What else? Gee whiz. Speaking, we've got some speaking coming up. Shout out to the AT&T Women of Color. I'll see you next Thursday. Wonderful opportunity and a wonderful time to have a full circle moment where I was actually a part of the ground floor conversations of this very employee network or group. And now this is, I think, maybe the second or third graduating class. I get to speak to them on Thursday after they have read, and some of them are still reading, my book, which was actually gifted to them by the AT&T HRD&I and Leadership Development Organization. Shout out to all of you for that, and thank you. I'm in talks with some other big brands you'll be seeing very soon. Then I'll be working with them as well. But the speaker circuit is definitely on fire. And if your organization needs a workshop leader, if you need a keynote, if you need a panelist, I'm here for that. Just make sure you go to lmichellesmith.com/speaker-request with an S on the end and submit your formal request. You know what? I've got to get out of here because I got to get ready for my session, my group coaching with my coaching clients and graduates. It's been great. I think all of my tech is working. Look for the Coaching Corner to return in March live across all of my platforms, and I'll see you online.